Welcome back to Fire Dragon, and we're here today with another Minecraft tutorial, and this one has to do with monster spawners and I believe it's called entity cramming effect. So let's go here, and we're going to spawn a bunch of zombies. Even though we have a spawner in here, it takes way too long for them to spawn as many as I want. We're just going to spawn a bunch of zombies. And you're gonna see when they all finally fall down that if there's more than about 23 up to 25, I think at the most, any more that fall down will just die because there's too many of the monsters directly beside each other. And this happens for any and all mobs, monsters, whatever. But you can see a bunch of them are here, and we'll just wait for it to work. Oh, well, I kind of forgot this is kind of the point of the thing. But, whenever they get pushed down again, I don't know how many monsters I spawned. Hopefully it was about 40. But we have a bunch of zombies down there. That's 20 of them, at least. Or at most, I guess. And then whenever it detects another 20, it'll push them down. And you'll actually see them die because there's too many monsters in one area. Come on, there has to be 20. Is there no more? Let's turn on the monster spawner. Maybe. There you go. You can see it. And you can see they all just fall and die. Even though they're taking no additional damage or fall damage, they're simply dying because there's too many enemies in here. But that's what today's tutorial is about, is to how to make monster spawners and how to get around this effect, because we're used to just standing here and waiting for a bunch of monsters to build up, and then you kill a bunch of them. But here you have to wait for 20 of them, and then after like 25 they all start dying. So if you just AFK here, they'll all die and you won't get to kill them all. They'll kill themselves and you won't get the experience from it, which is no good. So I'm going to start off saying that the best spot to build your monster spawner is directly below where you have them land. So it's best to have them all use water. I didn't build this for efficiency, I built this for looks. So you want to build your water on the outside and have them push towards a hole in the wall. So that way, because this one hole, they all push into each other and it's difficult. But if you have them pushing towards a wall, then they'll push each other into the hole. And you'll have a soul sand bubble column that leads upwards like 40 or so blocks, and then you'll have them drop down exactly 23 blocks for zombies, 23 and a half blocks, I think, either that or 22 and a half, but blocks for skeletons, and I think it's like 17 blocks for spiders. But either way, at that point you will well, let me just also say it is a very good idea, because sometimes you have to go in and mess around with your monster spawner, to put in some redstone lamps. They're very cheap. It just takes a block of glowstone and then four redstone dust around it, just like that, whenever you're crafting it. I had to look it up, so if you didn't know, now you know. But, and then have them hooked up to a lever like I do, and I have it way down here because that's where the main area is. But hook it up to a lever so that way you can turn off the monsters spawning inside the spawn room. And no more will spawn in here. But anyway, you're going to push them, have them go through a bubble column, and have them land on top of the spawner area. But you're going to want to go up a few blocks so you have room to build redstone. And that also leaves you, well, the main reason for this is that it leaves you within the range of the spawner. So you can see that those orange embers are glowing, and that means the spawner is activated. But if I go out far enough, you'll see that they no longer are there. And if you're too far away from them, then, like I said, they won't show up and no monsters will spawn. But you can look at it and see whenever I come within, I think, 16 blocks of it, it's about 16 blocks, it'll start being active again. So you want your area to stand and kill monsters be right here. So this build, I'm about to show you how to build it. It's pretty simple, and I don't need to do block by block tutorial. I'm just going to show you it. But first, I'm going to explain what you want to do. Like I said, you're already going to have them go up and then fall, so they already have their fall damage. Like they'll be at 2 hits with your fist, or 1 hit with a wooden sword, and the sweeping edge will kill like all of them at the same time, which is the best idea. And it's real cheap too. But you'll have them fall into an iron pressure plate, which detects them like by entities of 10. So when you have 1 entity, it'll send out a redstone pulse of 1, which I'll go ahead and show you down here. This is directly below the iron pressure plate, and it has 1 entity on it or more, but less than 11. It'll have it activated. Then if it has exactly 11 mobs on it, it'll activate a second one. And then if it has exactly 21 monsters on it, it will activate this third one. And at that point, you know that about 23 to 25 is when they start dying, so you want to activate it beforehand. And that's whenever you put a repeater to boost the signal. And it'll send it out to a pulse extender, so that way the piston and the water stay on long enough for them to just be pushed out. That was more necessary in my older design. I don't know how necessary the extender is now, because I just have them go over and fall down a block. But that just goes into an area that the piston's pushed out, and it deactivates the piston for a little while. And then on the other side you have a dispenser with water, and it does the exact same thing, but on the opposite side. So it sends it to the repeater, and here you have the pulse extender again. And over here is a pretty smart design. I'll leave an iCard in the top to the guy that I saw the tutorial for. It was like Hillbilly Gaming or something like that. But this makes a pressure plate activate a dispenser. So like when you step on it, the dispenser will be activated, and when you step off of it, the dispenser will be deactivated. Like, I guess it'll be reactivated again is really the point. But it'll be like a pressure plate for the dispenser. So whenever it sends a pulse out, it'll send a pulse out first to the piston. It'll push it out and send a signal through, and this whole thing will be powered. And then it has a delay on this one, so it'll send a signal out to this, and it'll still have a signal. And then in a second, it will retract this piston, which means that the signal is lost really fast. But then since there's still a signal over here and there's a delay with this repeater, it will have another signal being pushed out from here, and it will click the dispenser off again. So it'll click it on, and then it'll click it off, essentially, is what that does. And this should be a pretty simple concept to just visually see and build yourself. I shouldn't need to do block by block, especially after I just explained it. But again, what you're going to do now is you have your fall trap. They're right above the spawner, and you just have the dispenser push water out and have the piston retract, so that way they can fall down again. Now the problem I had with my old design was that they were flowing into this big area, and I had like sectioned off areas, but then they would be all spread out even with the water, because they would be pushing into each other because of their hitboxes. And I can actually show you that. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. And when you have zombies here, they will push into each other, and you see how they don't group up at the end? That is very bad for monster spawners. We all know that we want them grouped up in this one little area, just like that. Have a bunch of them in the exact same block, so that you can just kill them all with one swing, instead of having to go back and forth and kill a bunch of them and hoping you get all of everything. So which is why I have it push off and have them go down into another area. And you can have this step down as far as you want. You can build like 10 of these little tiny things, and you have to do the redstone for each one of them. And then an alternative, I'm not sure how feasible it is, I haven't done it, but you can have them go down into a spot, and then have them, or sorry, you don't have them go down into a spot, have them go directly over into a bubble column that sends them up, and then over a little bit, and have them fall down directly beside here, so it's all linear beside each other. But then you'd have to do some real finessing with the redstone. I think the easiest way is to just use staggering down. And I would assume 5 of these would be good because per group of 20 zombies, you get just about 4 levels. So you would get about probably 16 levels of experience from 5 of the little step downs. And it's not that far. You could even stand at the bottom one. Well, heck, you could go over 1, over 1, down 1, down 1. So that way you're still standing within the range of the spawner. But anyway, that was kind of pointless to say, but hopefully you guys will figure that one out on your own. And that's all for this tutorial. That was a very neat way that I figured out how to get around the entity cramming effect. Something I hadn't realized until I started playing survival in 1.15.2 that it even existed, because my old server that I play on is 1.13 and they didn't have that back then. So this is a nice new modification, and hopefully you guys liked it. If you guys had any ideas, different ideas for how to like make a better version of this, or just any of your own ideas and information and that kind of stuff is always useful. So go ahead and leave it down in the comments for me and for any other people that come across this video. And don't forget to like and, always comment and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time on Fire Dragon.